Welcome to the Designers Guild studio, very private studio I have to say. The starting point for this autumn's collection, we found a beautiful costume from Central Asia, and what was so exciting about this costume is it was a real mixture of weave and print, ikat, flowers, and it was sort of wonderful, wonderful colours, and that's really set the seed growing from there. This is one of our mood boards, and there's a mixture of all the ingredients, from an Indian miniature to gorgeous Howard Hodgkin painting, some wonderful silk colours, because in fact part of this collection then went into a whole silk collection that you're seeing, and this sort of sets the scene and becomes part of the inspiration. I guess this season is sort of global glamour, quite rich. There's a feeling of maybe a sort of more ethnic feeling, bright, rich colours, but they're always tempered by soft neutrals. And, you know, colours, it's your intuitional feeling for colour that makes the collection really buzz and work. So, very exciting, our autumn 14 collections. This mixture of silks and printed fabrics and velvets, a whole rich mixture together. In fact, this is one of our hand-painted pieces of artwork, and this is the actual cloth that we printed on really lovely fine linen. We put a lot of investment into our origination costs because I feel that's very, very important, and it gives that handmade quality to the product. Here we have an ikat, an embroidered ikat on silk this time, mixed with beautiful stripe. I love mixing pattern and stripes and plains together. Another sort of really rich silk satin stripe. That's the whole width. Beautiful design, I think. And it's sort of, it's taken on the feeling of that first costume, but it's relevant for now. It's alive and innovative contemporary fabric. And then we go through to a much richer colour palette. And here you can see this sort of really beautiful shaded damask. There again, all painted by hand, little bits of gold, just sort of almost stenciled onto the design. Very complicated to translate into a fabric. And I think we managed to do that really beautifully. Wallpaper's the same feeling. And there again, these sort of rich sample boards. And then all of that is translated into our finished products, into bed linen, cushions, rugs. It's very exciting. Let's talk about flowers for a moment, because they've always been such an important part of our vocabulary, and we have some really beautiful flower studies that we then translate into both finished products. For instance, some of our cushions, absolutely gorgeous, painted, and then they're embroidered, and then all trimmed beautifully. And look at some of our flower studies. So we start by painting all these beautiful flower studies, and then that will end up, and some of these are painted, most of them are painted actually, and some of them are photographed, and you end up with this really beautiful mixed hydrangeas on a gorgeous new scoured linen, so that it's very subtle, subtle and strong at the same time. So we've talked about our different textures, for instance, from velvet to really beautiful silk collection this season, and that's what we're working here. And every colorway is majorly important. So in order to get that vibrant color, we'll find little bits of textile or thread, or it's all hand painted. And all of those ingredients together, that very personal touch, is what's really important to me. Wallpaper is an extremely important part of our language, and we coordinate everything through so that the wallpaper shades will match, if you want it to do that, with the fabrics and with the accessories. Texture is really important in wallpaper. Exactly the same emphasis on our papers as our fabrics. Or, you know, one might want to be just purely textural and just use the wallpaper and not mix and match. We try and focus on all those different areas of people's individual taste. So we've talked about strong colour, but neutral is really important. And neutral is a colour, black and white is a colour. And something like this beautiful silk fabric, we saw in another version in all bright colours, and how it changes its character. So I love using all these shades of neutrals and greys to sort of set off all the brighter colour. It's a very important part of our vocabulary. Love the sound of that silk, by the way. And then here we've used a really beautiful flower print in neutral, and we've just added some jade and citrus colour to it so that you could have a completely neutral scheme and then bring in tiny bits of colour that just sort of set another scene. And all of that is possible within the collection. So very, very important part of our vocabulary are all these neutral shades. As well as all our pattern collections, the base of each collection we launch a new essentials, or 2 or 3 new essentials, which are beautiful linens, velvets, silks, mixtures of textures, and that really forms actually probably half our collection and the basis of a very important part of our world, which is playing. What's important for me is that our textiles have to be of the right quality, they have to maintain their essence and really perform well.